it's that hot. Now your book is telling you 137. That is not the answer I want to see on the test. I want to see the numbers I gave you, okay? All right, so here we go. Dee, you're going to have to take this in a second. Clean the bottom, make sure there's no water. We're going to add 2/3 of it.
Oh, I'm in your way.
And don't be fooled. It looks like there's nothing left in here, but when I scrape it down, you can see there's a fair amount left. So set that aside. And now we are going, now we're going to temper.
Hi, G.
We start out by just moving it around nice and thin, and then you're going to immediately, before you start pushing back, clean the bottom, then the top. Push forward, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. And you push it back into a blob again. Periodically you'll clean that up. Okay? The faster you go, the faster it tempers. If you get little marks like that, go back and pick them up. Don't leave them. They'll put lumps in your chocolate.
It's so cool.
Now, what happens if you don't clean before you pull back? So, okay, I've got this. Now I'm going to start clean. If I don't clean this and I do this, now you see what it does? So make sure you clean before you start to push it back. Now, do you see how it's thickening? It's beginning to thicken up. Maybe one more pass after this and we'll probably be there. Also, we're trying to keep this granite cool, so don't set your warm bowls on it. Always set them somewhere else so it doesn't warm up the granite for the people coming in behind you. Okay, this chocolate is now seated. You can see the difference in the viscosity. However, it's not yet over crystallized, so I'm going to work it just a little bit longer. I think one more time and I think we're good.
I always think it starts to look like pudding.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a little bit of a thin set pudding, and we're there. You don't want to see lumps start to form. And we're pretty much, I'm going to do one more time, but I'm pretty much there. Okay, so now once we get to that point, just hold it down right off the edge. And here, you hold this so I can, because usually you want to have this guy helping you out. And chocolate stains like nothing else, so please don't leave the side all messy and then the next unsuspecting person that comes up just got a ruined chef's coat. So make sure you immediately, one person goes to wipes off the table, takes these to clean them, brings them back. The other person takes this over and begins to rewarm it. So let's see what temperature we're at.
Bouncing between about 88 and 86.
Okay, I'm going to take a little tester to see what our temperature is at. If it's over 91 at that point, it means you had too much in your bowl. And it brought your temper.
How's the video look? Is it on?
Okay, so we're going to take this into the kitchen. Oh, and these are not stainless steel, they rust. So you cannot wash them and leave them to air dry. Within a half an hour, they're covered in rust. So please wash them and immediately dry them off.
Yeah,
These are stainless steel, but these are not. Okay, so let's go in. We're going to take a quick check on this. does them a little different than I do, but they both work. I don't care. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take a little tester. And in 2 minutes, if that's not set up, I missed my limit. All right, so we're now going to do a parchment bag. Parchment bags can be as big or as small as you need them to be. It's not wise to do giant parchment bags because it'll just end up coming out all over the back of your hand. So usually the parchment bags are a little bit smaller, and we offset just here. When you wrap around, the side that's wrapping on the outside needs to be a little bit longer than the side that's not wrapping. Don't cut like this, you'll get a messy edge. So just put your knife in right along the edge and run it like that. Right from here to here needs to be perfectly smooth. If it's all torn up, you're going to struggle with that bag. Okay, so let's see, which is the longest side?
Very much so.
So the short side goes in, the long side goes out. And they should meet somewhere in the same vicinity, but they do not have to match up exactly. You pull down on the outer corner to get rid of the tip, to get rid of the hole. You don't want a hole in the tip at all. You want it totally closed. Okay? Now, this thing tends to unravel on you when you're trying to fill it. So what I like to do is fold it over and put a little notch there, and fold that down to keep it from spiraling loose on me. So, what we're going to be doing first, and we're doing this one first because it's the hardest thing to learn. And remember, don't overfill your bag. No more than halfway for chocolate. Really, maybe a third is better.
It really is a mess if you do.
Yeah, it really is.
Such a pain.
Okay, so lay it down, seam side down, roll away from the seam. If you roll towards the seam, it's going to loosen that seam up, so roll away from the seam, fold it over, roll it over. You're going to squeeze from the back, not from the middle. Because when you got a tiny little hole and a great big opening and you're squeezing from the middle, it's going to take the path of least resistance, which is out into the palm of your hand instead of out through that tip. Okay, so now we're going to learn to pipe a couple of little filigrees. And there's many of these filigrees that we can use. I just have one that's my favorite, but there are others. If you get good at it, we'll give you a different one. Okay, this is called the chaining method. We do not want to draw on the paper like this because it creates a wavy line. When doing the chaining method, you want to lift up and let it chain down. Okay, you need to be at least an inch above the table. I think we're going to do 4. I like 4 better. Okay, so touch down to start it off, and then it's one continuous motion. And I'm not getting any bigger. Notice I'm not getting bigger as I go down. The middle one's the skinniest, and then the 3 below it are identical. All right, here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see that. First one, really, really skinny. And up kind of at an angle. Okay, I need 25 usable filigrees, all about the same size. What's that? A little bit under 2 inches, so right around 2 inches from each person. Okay, so you're going to get your bag after you get tempered. And we've got an hour, so we can do this. After you get tempered, now if you're struggling with this pattern, I will draw it out, and you can slide it under there and use that as a template. Okay, so one more time, we touch down, we lift it in the air, loop and up, loop and up, loop and up. Don't resist coming way out here and leaning them farther and farther out. We don't want to see that. We want them straight up and down.
It still looks cool.
Yeah, but I don't want it. Okay? I want this one. This one's leaning a little bit too much for me. I'd much rather have this one. Okay? Now, I don't want it any thicker than that. It can be a tiny bit thinner. If it's too thin, it looks really cool, but they break too easy. And you would do that directly on a cake. You wouldn't try and lift these off. So we need to make them a little thicker to be able to lift them off. This is as thick as I want to see them. In fact, when I started piping, to me that's almost too thick. I cut it too big. Here's the thing: don't cut a big chunk off the top. You can always cut more later, but if you cut it too big, the only thing you can do is squeeze the chocolate out and make a new bag. Okay? So when you're done with these bags, rip the tip off, squeeze them out, let them set up at room temperature. Then we unwrap them when they're set and flake the usable chocolate back into the bag. Okay, we don't throw anything away. We recycle as much chocolate as we can.
Money in the bowl if you leave it in.
Okay, so have a look. Do you see what that looks like? See, it's all set up. It's starting. It's set. And it's been 3 or 4 minutes. I know I hit the temper. I don't see any streaking. Now, sometimes you will, it's temper and it's setting up, but it's got streaking. What causes that is you did not sufficiently melt out your 1 through 4 crystals. So you need to hold it for 10 minutes or so at 89, 90 degrees, and that will go away. So if you've got temper, but you've got a little streaking, it just means it needs a few more minutes to melt out those impure crystals. Okay, oh, you're not done. It's not straight enough. Okay, go back to your table. Okay, so there we go. That's the next project. 25 per person. Once you get it done,
I'm
lift them up
screwed.
one at a time and consolidate them all into one tray. If you're really good at this, I'll give you a couple of other shapes.